Good morning, everybody. I'm glad that you have had a time and interest to join us for this webinar, which is held by Sustinere. And as you all know, we talk about for 1 hour and maybe a bit more about LCAs and EPDs. So everything what you should know about for the basis to get started with. My name is Marko Siller. I'm the founder and partner of Sustinere, and I will be moderating today's event and our speakers. Looking at the registrants list, which is a bit more than 100 people today, I noticed many familiar names and faces, but also people who don't know us. So the ones who are not familiar with Sustinere yet, then we are a pan-Baltic ESG and sustainability advisory firm operating in our Estonian, Latvian, and Lithuanian offices. We have been doing that for more than 8 years, having a team of 20 and more employees, and then served more than 200 clients during recent years. So these are the main volumes what describe us. Today's agenda, which is packed into 1 hour and a bit more, as told. So we finish probably a few minutes after 11 o'clock, as promised. After my introduction, my colleague Taavi Vaasma will take it over to guide you through the basics of LCA and EPD. And then after that, we have 3 guest speakers sharing their stories from a bit different angles. So I will introduce them afterwards. If you have any questions, then use the chat function of the wherever you watch the broadcast. If we are not able to answer the questions during the event, then we make sure that we answer those afterwards and then send that to the registered participants for sure. Now, going to the topic, as you all know, quantifying the environmental footprint of your business activities might have different, let's say, layers. I think all of you are familiar with calculations of the organizational greenhouse gas emissions, and where the results are expressed in the amounts or tons of CO2 equivalents per 1 year. Many of you have been doing that. We help our customers on a daily basis with that. The other layer is the product and the service level. And then this is where the terms like LCA or the life cycle assessment and EPDs or the environmental product declaration come into play. And the LCAs and EPDs, the results there also can be expressed in the amounts of CO2 equivalent, but now already per some product or service units. But also other environmental impact categories can be expressed. So LCAs and EPDs are not only about greenhouse gas emissions, but for example, material depletion or water use, etc. What is relevant to know is that often the input data, what you need to calculate both either the organizational greenhouse gases per year or the product or service footprint pretty much overlap. So if you have done one, then other is already easier. So there are very many similarities. EPDs, environmental product declarations, mostly are done for building materials. This is where we what we meet mostly in construction industry and building materials industry. While EPDs maybe are not that common in other industries, but again, LCAs, which follow exactly the same calculation logic, are applicable there. So basically, you can do the LCA calculations for whatever product or a service. Now, what makes CEO of a company, which is actually quite a small, they have roughly 4 million euros turnover, 40 people. They do manufacturing. They're located in, what I will call a very nice, but still a remote and rural area. So not in a big city. And actually, to my knowledge, the CEO should be among the participants also today. So if you're here, then greetings to you. And then he has said at one of our previous seminars that their customers, the big players, the big customers to whom they sell their products, ask for product footprint data, the LCA, and not only the numbers, not only the declaration, but also their reduction target together with an action plan. So their customer already wants to know what they plan to do and how to plan to do in order to reduce the footprint. So this is, I think, one of a very good illustration of the market demand for that. But other than that, why companies do LCAs and EPDs is to determine their current situation, where they are, where the footprint mostly comes from, and benchmark and compare themselves with their competitors. So are they better or worse in terms of environmental impact? Because the LCAs and EPDs are very standardized, so you can compare them very well. This again gives you an opportunity to find improvement places where you could reduce your footprint, and do the analysis. If you change something, then is it feasible or not financially as well? And if you have those calculations done, then this allows you to provide data to be transparent for your customers, because many of them ask it, especially if you go to export markets in B2B relations. So you can meet their expectations there. And very often we see that the market driver is that either it's regulation which demands, for example, EPDs on some certain markets already. If you want to, I don't know, access to Nordic markets with your construction materials, then different countries have different regulations there, which require local companies to ask from the suppliers such data. So if you want to sell there, and then you need to be ready for that. And then here in order to illustrate the last argument, here we have made a summary from One Click LCA, which is a leading provider of this LCA calculation tool on the market. From their website, well, basically an overview that many of these markets where Estonian, Latvian, and Lithuanian companies actually export have either legal or strong market demand or market expectation or regulatory demand for EPDs. So I think this is what brought many of you here today, but the ones who didn't know yet, so we suggest to investigate that. But this is it about the short introduction, and now I would hand it over to the main part, to other speakers, starting with Taavi Paasma, a partner and senior advisor in Sustinere, who explains about LCA and EPD essentials. So Taavi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marko. Welcome from my side as well. Glad that you had the ability to join. So today we'll kick off another Sustinere's webinar, and as Marko already made the introduction, this is about LCAs and EPDs. And we'll keep it in a practical way, so basically looking different issues, concerns, and aspects that have arisen with the cooperation with our own clients who have emerged into the topic of LCA and EPD. First, just to quickly bring us on the same page. So when we're talking about LCAs, we're talking about life cycle assessment. So basically what it is, it's a process regulated by ISO standards to give this holistic and comprehensive overview of different impacts that arise from different stages of the product life cycle. So if you're looking at raw material acquisition, its processing, manufacturing, as well as different transport means, and then use and end of life. So basically going through this comprehensive analysis, different stages in the life cycle, the manufacturers and product owners can really get a full understanding of where are the impacts coming from. Let's say, what are the hotspots, at which stages the impacts arise. And then they have the ability to start thinking about what are our possibilities and potential to actually start reducing these impacts, and what are the investments needed for that. Now, an EPD essentially is an LCA. So it's an LCA. The core process still is a life cycle analysis. But in addition to this LCA analysis, there is also the verification by independent third party. And then it's also published in program operators, basically website. So we're talking about basically the same things. The EPD is regulated with additional standards. Some are specific for construction materials, but still they are based on these ISO standards that regulate the LCAs themselves. So as mentioned earlier, there are different stages. So in EPDs as well, there's the product stage, construction stage, use, end of life, and then the possible benefits that can occur after the end of life of the company's product. So in EPDs, it's very standardized. It allows better comparability, and there are stated what stages are mandatory depending on your product specifics. So this is stated in the standards and in the product category rules that are created by different program operators. So, and the EPD in general is valid for 5 years, unless some material changes occur. For example, you have new inputs, you change your manufacturing process, etc. So which could affect the outcome of the EPD. So once we have clarified that LCA and EPD in the core process is the same, you have to have a life cycle assessment in order to determine where are the impacts of your product. Once you start with creating an LCA or an EPD, let's talk about a little bit of the process and timeline. So with EPDs, you could roughly consider this kind of 4 to 5 months period. So there are different stages that all take time, and this could vary quite significantly. For example, depending on the EPD type, are you creating an EPD for a single product, or you try to group different products under the EPD? Also, how easy it is to collect the data. Are you also collecting the data from your suppliers? How well accessible are your manufacturing data, and so forth, as well as where the EPD will be published. There are different requirements with different program operators. So again, depends where you want to export your product. Are there some specific criteria and rules with the program operators in these locations? But in general, so there are different stages. First, of course, the preparation, really digging deep into understanding the product, its specifics, in order to put in place the data collection process as well. And then determining where this data can be collected. As I mentioned, if you can get information already from your suppliers on carbon footprint or EPDs of your input data, I mean, that would be the first choice, the best choice, because it allows, to be more precise on the impacts of your own products as well. Then it will be the analysis as well as the verification and publishing. So if we consider only conducting an LCA without the verification and publishing, so just running through an LCA, perhaps you have a model or tool yourself that has been created. So in that sense, you could consider that 1 to 3 months period. However, depending again on the type and characteristics of your product, it could be up to 2 times shorter as well if you have good understanding of the data and great accessibility to the data as well. Now, well, as this process can take time, and well, time is of great essence. So in order to make a choice, what are actually your and your client needs, try to put together different parameters here I'd like to introduce as well that could help to make this decision of, is it more reasonable to start and go along with an LCA or an EPD could be of higher relevance. So, for example, if we're talking about what would be the output or the type of output, often LCAs, you can consider them to be more informative. Commonly, LCAs are created to assess climate impact. However, all the other impact categories are there as well: acidification, eutrophication, material depletion, water use, etc. However, if there is a need to be aligned with different procurement criteria, then often EPDs are requested there. Again, to have better comparability of the different products from different manufacturers and producers. Like I mentioned, with EPDs, the comparability is higher, with this kind of usual LCAs that have been conducted. There is more variability in terms of methods and boundaries that are set. So this somewhat lowers the comparability. The LCAs can be used internally as well as externally. So an LCA model tool to be built for your company, for your products, can be extremely valuable. It can help you to model what kind of changes in your inputs, changes in the energy use, etc. How much could it affect also the outputs? So you can really model, play around, and test and see quite early on where are the impacts coming from, and you can create also reports that you can share with your clients, stakeholders on this kind of informative basis as well. Well, in terms of EPDs, usually the focus is external, so either clients are asking, stakeholders are asking, or it is in procurement criteria. EPDs themselves, as we talked earlier, are verified. LCAs can be also verified. There are various market practices. You could see often the expert body has created an LCA. It is not additionally verified. However, if you want to publicly compare the results of your product with your competitor, then it's required to have also additional third-party verification. Now, an EPD is valid for 5 years. As mentioned, if there are some material changes, then it has to be updated earlier. This kind of same requirements are also with LCAs, that if material changes occur, you should update this as well. Time-wise, we already talked about EPDs for 3, 4, 5 months, with LCAs without verification somewhat shorter. And this additional verification and publishing also mean that the total price will be a little bit higher for EPDs compared to LCAs. Now, if some material changes occur with LCAs, if you have a tool as well that you have established already, making some adjustment modifications is easier and faster. You can substitute one input with the other and see the effects. If you want to make modifications to your EPDs, you have to consider more time and use of finances there as well, because it has to go through the verification as well as update in the publisher. Now, to summarize this, I would emphasize first to really determine, make sure what is requested by the client and what is actually your need. If it's requested an EPD, of course you should go with EPD. If not, really consider starting with an LCA, developing an LCA model tool for your own company to really model, play around with different inputs, outputs, get an understanding and feeling of what data is required and what is the necessary accuracy of the data that you will be inserting there. So this can be really helpful. And if you have a large portfolio of products, then really start prioritizing. So putting emphasis on the main products that you are exporting, where there might be higher need. And if you see that an LCA or an EPD is a way to go forward, most likely you will end up additional questions, how to go further, how to progress further. So some really recommendations or practical advice from the work that we've had with our customers. I try to a little bit bring them forward to elaborate. One of the difficult points usually is related with focusing on what will be the product that the EPD will be created on. If you are if your products are custom made to a client or you have standard products, there will be variations. With custom made products, if you have a variety of clients, a variety of products, so you will end up with questions of, okay, so to what product I will be creating this EPD? So I really can't create an EPD for every specific product that I send to a customer. So frankly said, there is no silver bullet that will provide solution right away. So it's really necessary to dig deep into the products to really understand the details, what are the different inputs needed in there, consider if there's any this kind of baseline product, some core product that can be, used as a basis for different clients. Consider if there is any averaging options available, so you can average different products into this kind of average one that is valid for different clients. Or you can think about grouping, and then if you see that there is this kind of baseline product available, perhaps you can integrate this additional features also in the EPD, so the client can a little bit build up on the impacts that are related with their own product. So again, you have to keep in mind that if you are determining the options there, what is most feasible and practical for you, you have to keep in mind at least two things. That the results will be also valid and representative to your client. So your client has to recognize that it's their product. And on the other hand, you have to consider, okay, what is feasible, what is practical for your company as well. So you have to find the middle ground in there. So it takes time, but it's vital to convey or guarantee that there is representativeness for both sides. As already mentioned, grouping products is one option, that you have an EPD which is not focused on one product, but you have several products that you can list in there. Also, like I mentioned, this averaging and grouping, if it is feasible and practical, consider applying these, but always keeping in mind that you have to keep the representativeness of a product towards your client. So if you are creating an EPD for your clients on their requests, so they have to understand and recognize, yes, this is about their products as well. And if you start with this process, collecting also the inputs to your LCA or EPD process, start really at early stages asking from your suppliers for the carbon footprint or EPDs of the inputs that you need to manufacture your own products. And then determine what are your options to collect the primary data from the manufacturing side as well. So in order to ensure that you have most valid, up-to-date and specific data for your own production as well. So this way you will increase the accuracy of the results as well. And you're not alone in this process. Most likely there are some available EPDs studies already on the market that you should study and look into to really start reviewing what have been the approaches taken there. Have they grouped, averaged their products? What kind of measures they have chosen in there? And then also study the results. So what are the main impact categories and what are the results there, to get also the understanding, a glimpse of what you will be looking at your analysis as well. And I would definitely advise to start modeling early on. So if the clients are not asking for EPDs per se already, think about creating this kind of LCA models and tools where you can run different scenarios. You can get a glimpse of what input is needed, which affects the greenhouse gas emissions and other impact categories, and how changing the inputs will affect the outputs as well. So really measuring and determining also the potential investment cost if you want to make some changes. Yeah, so also just to think about for you that if you are again thinking about starting with LCAs or EPDs, so first things first, what are your clients? What are your stakeholders expecting from you? Is it just information? Is it an EPD or is it numbers from the EPD? And then think about your export markets, potential regulations coming up, and with what you can start already. So can you start with creating your own tools, running through these scenarios like we have talked about? So yeah, and I'm really glad that we have 3 companies here in the seminar today who can really open up about the process and reasoning why they have chosen creating them LCAs and EPDs, so you can hear directly from them. So that's all from my side. Marco, please feel to take over from here.
Thank you, Taavi, for the well-concentrated overview. So again, if you have any questions, let us know either in the chat or afterwards. Please approach us. But as Taavi told, we have 3 guest speakers, and I would invite the first one on the stage, who is Signe Raupe from Knauf in Latvia. Knauf, I think, familiar name for many of you, a manufacturer of different building materials, gypsum boards, metal profiles, and others, as I understand, Signe. And then you are in the company procurement and production planning manager. Am I right? Hello.
Exactly. Hello. Hello. Thank you for inviting.
And we agreed with you, Signe, that for this short and focused conversation that we focus on not you, your company, creating the EPDs yourself, but rather what you ask and require from your suppliers, right?
Yeah.
Why
true.
do you do that? What's the broad reason behind that? So why do you ask this LCA and EPD data from your material suppliers?
So let's be honest. I would say this is the future we have faced. Starting with the very beginning, this is as a first thing, this is a Knauf policy. Last year, we set up on a Knauf global level the Knauf targets, Knauf 100 strategy, which also one of the main goals, I would say, is this sustainability topic and how to get to sustainability higher peak if you do not have the data in place. So this is, as I think you mentioned before, first thing is the transparency that we want to have on our side, and to get it on our side, we need to get it from the supplier side. So this is the one thing. The other thing is definitely the market, our customers and clients who does require those this data from us. So to get it to our clients, we have to get it starting very initially from our vendors, suppliers, partners.
But how do you do this in practice? So what exactly is the role of asking and getting this EPD data from your suppliers? Is it like a soft expectation, or is it very strict demand for them? So how clearly do you do that? Do you select your suppliers based on that?
Yeah, well, at this point, this, as we see it as a Knauf, we do teach and guide our partners, because this is not yet, at least not yet, set on a global or local level as a criteria to choose or not to choose our partners. But this how we treat it currently. We are teaching and guiding our partners. So when we gather this information from them, we explain why it's important and why it's going to be important for further cooperation. So this is their future as well as ours. So as easy as that.
But maybe without giving out any binding statements here, then how do you see the progress? So currently you're teaching and guiding, but will it most probably become more, let's say, demanding and strict in your case, or still too early to say?
Well, definitely, yes, it will. It will be more demanding, I would say, because the market is getting more demanding. If we take a look, for example, at our clients and what we're asking, what they are asking our customers from us, so the Scandinavian market. So it's impossible, actually, in construction area to be competitive in this area. So if you do not have EPD or LCE, well, EPD if we talk about Scandinavia, but then no, you can get away with a LCA here in local market. But it's definitely getting more and more important for all of us. So yes, I think there's evolving and very demanding. We will get more demanding in terms of our our partners as well.
Okay.
Sure.
But currently not yet the deal breaker. But
No, not yet, not yet.
But what I read out is that an opportunity to have a good relations with you. So I think you still like it.
Yeah. So this is how we actually, the first thing is, because we have to understand that this is a huge amount of data. This is a huge resources behind it, behind this process, both on our side and on our supplier and customer side. So we have to work together in this. And what we do, we teach and we guide and we push them in a soft way currently.
But what do your suppliers mostly struggle with? So how mature they currently are, and what are the major problems what they face in providing this information for you?
There is less problem with definitely with the global suppliers, because those are big companies with a huge resources. But then when we get closer to the local markets, to smaller and very specific companies, this is the question of resources, I believe, on their side, because once we start to gather the data from them, you see that they struggle with it. They had no idea they have to keep this kind of data probably in that specific and detailed way we ask. So yeah, I believe it's the most biggest problem with the local companies for now. But with the bigger ones, definitely it's easier. They are prepared. They're well prepared. They are providing their goods all over the world to all of the Knaufs almost, and so they are prepared. But I think this is the question of resources on that on their side.
But would you have some to conclude our short conversation? So some one or two practical suggestions or recommendations for companies who listen here. We have on different channels a bit more than 60 participants. So what they should consider and keep in mind while starting to work with creating EPDs or doing LCAs.
First thing I would say, start now, because the market is getting more demanding. Because we know there's a regulation coming into force starting from next year, January, regarding the DOPs. So you will have to indicate these LCAs in the DOPs. So this is very important if we talk about construction market. But then something that really was very, very surprising at the first glance when we started to gather information and the data is the volume and the resource of time. So be prepared. This is quite a lot of information, and then there's there's a chain. Once you start to gather information, supplier on their or vendor on their side, they start thinking, hey, but we haven't get this information before on our side, on our hand. So this is a time consuming and resource consuming. So start now. Make sure you have the right persons, right people, and time for them to do that, because it takes some time. But on the other hand, this is a great transparent way how to see where we are, the status quo. So where's the biggest impact and what can be improved on our side to reduce the CO footprint. So yeah, start now and make sure you have the resources.
Very good, Signe. Thank you for your, although quick and short, but honest and straightforward thoughts. So I'm very glad that you took this time to join us and then share your thoughts. So thank you for that. I hope we have a chance to meet and talk longer about it. So
thank you.
So until next time.
Next time. See you.
Another speaker who we have is Tanel Türna, the founder and the CEO of Tycroc, which is a small Estonian-based company who actually practices kind of, well, how they call it, OEM manufacturing. So they have manufacturing partners across the world who produce products for Tycroc, and then Tycroc puts it to the market. So they also provide building materials, so different insulation and smart installation materials, for example, mostly to some underfloor heating and cooling equipment and materials, and waterproofing systems to wet rooms, etc. So this is what I provide. Unfortunately, Tanel was not able to join us today, so that's why we recorded a video with him yesterday. And I would now ask to put this on the screen so that we could watch that for 12 minutes, as I know. So it's recorded yesterday, and then you can put it live now. Now come to the EPDs. Then, well, as I said, you have started to create your first EPDs. Some of your products covered, some not yet. What made you to start doing that, to create the EPDs? Where did the need come from? What's behind that?
To be honest, it came from market, and mainly from north side and from Finland, because for sure as today northern countries and northern markets are more focused for this kind of certifications, and not only EPDs, I mean different eco labels. And yeah, it was from the market and from market regulatories. Especially, like I said, in Finland, it's already necessary now in 25. Still, it's a little bit. They keep it as a gray area, as it's not so quick process, and in the end, if they would do immediately, this is the day and nothing else, I would say nobody is selling anything today in the market. So yeah, it's a little bit softer.
So did I get it correct that currently your customers, they rather prefer and ask this from you, but it's not a very strict requirement. This wouldn't leave you out from some tenders. How strict is that?
Correct. In one hand, it's a requirement from official side, but they keep it as a little bit longer period, as like please do it during this year, and that's fine. But anyway, if we are focused for the future projects, like 2 years ahead, for example, and then it's anyway necessary. Architects, engineers, some real estate developers, they are choosing materials today for ahead for projects like 26, 27. So anyway, this is the, I would say, latest time to do it, and not to. Okay, we started earlier this year, but for sure it takes time anyway from our side as well, and that's why it's. I will say I take it, and we take it, is that it's necessary already, because it's for ahead anyway, like I said. And that's
for good customer relations, looking a bit ahead, you need to act now. That's how I got it.
Yeah, more or less, yeah, exactly.
Okay, but you mentioned previously briefly, like what kind of products do you provide to the market, but well, as I told before, as we have been supporting you, we know that like you have started from some certain products, and then the other products will follow for what you create EPDs. How did you choose from which products to start with? Was it your choice? Was it some, again, customer demand that for this specific products you need the EPDs on the first hand, others may come later? How did you prioritize? Because the product portfolio might be quite wide for some companies.
Oh, in one hand, it's not so big. Even I would say it's relatively small. As like mentioned, we have two big groups, and for sure inside there are can split more. But how we started them, the idea was to start with the products or groups that would be that we believe it's much easier to get the information, the data, and all the process would be simpler. And as I mentioned, we have partners, production partners who offer this OEM services, starting from Estonia, ending China. So everybody understand it would be different to get information from Estonian producer and from Chinese producers. So we started with Estonians, partners with Germans, so-called locals, at least Europeans, let's say. During that process, we also learned to understand all the because for sure, for myself as well, before that I didn't know anything about that, and it's new anyway for me as well, for our team as well, and every single step is new for us, and we can learn. And this was the reason. Let's focus for so-called simpler solutions first, and step on later.
Get the process in place so that more difficult products and supply chains could be done later. Okay, but while you already mentioned this learning, so what were these major maybe challenges or problems what you saw during the process? What was the most difficult, looking from your perspective?
I would say first that in generally it went smoothly for us anyway. But what would be maybe even the understanding of EPD's data, I would say that even some German partners have done this EPD for some other OEM customers before. Still, there were some differences. Your colleagues asked over and over that, hey, we need something a little bit specifically, or different way. So maybe that was to make understand our partners that now this is the frame, and that this is what we need. Even you have done similar things a little bit differently. Maybe that.
Okay. So the data for the analysis, like the data clarity and
yeah, and it was like a little bit like ping pong game that they something like they answered, they received it. We forwarded to your colleagues, and again something still not enough, and so maybe that, and
okay.
In the end everything takes time. This is you feel every single day if the information that you received is not enough, you feel okay, it's still a little bit time losing situation.
Okay. But what was the role of your company in this process? How would you describe that? You mentioned that like getting the data from your suppliers, providing this data for our team for analysis. Was that it, or was did you have any other roles in the process?
Not really. I would say the main package came from Sustinere and your colleagues, and well done job from that side. Our role, my role personally, was just to forward the information from one side to the other, and I was just a middleman between the specialists and the producers.
Okay.
So it was. I feel that our role in maybe it's because of the business, what we do and how we do this, that we do not produce by ourselves. We don't have our own production lines. Maybe it's because of that, but yeah, I don't see our own role.
Rather simple for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But based on that, did you still notice any, I don't know, suggestions or learning points, what you would recommend others, other companies to consider who haven't done this before? Or is there anything what you could recommend, what to keep in mind, what to avoid, what to do?
Yeah, I would say for sure everything gonna be much smoother and quicker if this this data is collected anyway, even before we are talking about EPDs. I mean, if the producer have this data, starting from the main ending, whatever, recycling, for example. If not, for sure they have also their own some suppliers of raw materials and so on. If they don't have, then this again this question's gonna forward it for another company, another raw material producer, and no, what we lose time mostly. We're gonna have this. Everybody, the tables will be filled, but with information, but it takes time. In one hand, and then also I would say it's important to make your partners understand for what this EPD is, why we are doing it, why it's important. It's not like a paper or document that okay, fill the table, imagine some data there, some numbers, and that's it. It's not like that. It must be real information. We're talking about real things. So otherwise, it's just a paper for nothing. In one second. What else I feel today that it's not like only for sure it's like for a brand, no, for a EPD as a document is for a brand for sure in one hand, but in the other especially if somebody is producer themselves, you can get clear picture of all the processes, and then you can measure with competitors or similar solutions generally, and then it's maybe time to think about, is it possible to change some processes, do something better, what are the so-called underlying problems or something like that, and yeah, it's not like a document in the end. It's not like a we have it, we have this certification one dot again, and no, it's not so simple.
But you can get some insights like where the footprint is actually, and what could be changed if there is a need to reduce it as well. Very good. But Tanel, thank you. Our time is up. We need to conclude that. I'm very glad that you were ready to share your experience, and I'm sure that everybody got a few useful points for themselves, what to consider and keep in mind. So thank you very much, and good luck.
You're welcome, and good luck too.
So that was the yesterday recorded video. Actually, we continued a bit the conversation with Tanel off the record. So, well, I found out that their company turns 15 years old now. And what he told me after that is, and then he'll allowed to share that, is that since the very beginning, they have thought that, okay, their business model is rather easy to copy. But what is not easy to copy is if they have a different, let's say, certificates that prove the quality of the processes, the quality of the product. So this is, and including EPDs now. So and this has allowed them to stay in the game, to be competitive between the big players, so to compete even with the global names towards their customers. So this is where he sees the clear business value. So I think it was valid to add it here. But now I'm inviting on the stage our third, last but not the least, speakers, Eva Ilves, who is Safety and Sustainability Manager of Barrus, And if Tycroc, as you heard from recent interview, has been our customer for EPDs, then yes, Sustinere has also supported Barrus, which is a timber product company based in Estonia, also for various things, including EPDs. So hello, Eva, are you with us?
Yes, hello.
Very good. Glad to have you here. But again, let's go straight to the point. So we know that you have created EPDs. Why did you need that? Why do you currently need EPDs? What's the business value for that in having those?
I listened to Signe and Taavi, and my answers aren't different. We started to calculate EPDs because our clients started to get wanted information about sustainability, about ESG, and also EPD. So, and we didn't want to do it like we did do it only for them. We want to do a EPD that's also helpful for us, that we could improve something and be next time better. So, but basically, yes, clients wanted it, and this was the main point.
But how did you choose? I asked the same question from Tanel in this previous interview. So you also have different products. So how did you decide from where to start? What goes first? What comes after? Did you do such a prioritization time-wise?
Yes, we have a lot of products, but we look at our highest sales volumes and what our customers are interested in. And right now we have like three EPDs for our basic products. It's like finger jointed, laminated, and sawn timber. And right now it's enough.
Okay, but you mentioned in your previous answer that you also did it in order to understand where the impact is, where the footprint is. So what did you find out? Could you give some examples? So where the major impact is in your production processes, and what could you do with that? Can you somehow reduce this impact in order to achieve better results, or how is it?
Yes, we already have recalculated our EPDs as well. And that was because our first EPD was like a ground zero EPD. We haven't done anything. We haven't dealt with sustainability also. We did EPD, and after it, when we sent it to our clients, they were happy that we have EPDs. But sometime later, they were like asking that, okay, you have this number and this number, why it's like that and that. So we had to get into it, why it's like that and that. And next time later, they were like telling us, especially Scandinavian clients again, customers, that if you have this kind of EPD, soon we cannot buy from you because you are down level here. So this was like a wake-up call, and we had to do some basic main area actions that could improve our EPDs. So yeah, and now we have like already recalculated our EPDs, and they are much more better number that everybody are happy right now. But simply our tasks were like going over to greener energy and doing like different projects inside our company, be more efficient, go to over LED and so on.
So basically, you have changed some, let's call them like obvious or major things. For example, going to the renewable energy, which reduces the footprint and the EPD or LCA impact as well. But like I assume that now, if you would like to reduce the impact even more, the choices are not that obvious or not that easy anymore. So do you see that it still makes sense to continue with finding these reduction opportunities, or like what does this depend on? If the clients ask and this is feasible for you, or based on what do you do those further decisions now?
Yeah, it's now much more complicated, but it's doable. We have to get more into it. Our next step is to get into more suppliers, to get more information from them, because their EPD affects a lot our EPD, and we are producing and we are transporting our products. So transport area is the next thing where we get into it.
Okay, but about your suppliers, you told that you will now go to suppliers. Have you already asked this data from your suppliers or not yet? I mean, for calculating your own impact.
We have asked, but our suppliers aren't mostly from Scandinavia, and they don't have that kind of information yet. And that brings me to this obstacle thing that we have had, like those problems, like we have asked them EPDs, but they have gave us LCA. And then we're thinking about, okay, can we use it or not? Is it now our responsibility to use those numbers or not? So that's what I mean, that we need to teach or make more teamwork with them, that to let them know that EPD is more valuable than maybe LCA in this era.
Incredible, yeah. So
Yeah.
so you can trust it more.
Yeah.
Okay, Eva, but to summarize your experience with EPD, so what were the major learning points for you, what you went through and solved, and maybe some tips and tricks to others, what to keep in mind to avoid the same problems what you had?
The main thing is maybe data accuracy that you have. It's crucial to have like data that's up to date and you know where it comes from. Because when we recalculated our EPDs, then all the time I was thinking about the number, where it comes from, is it auditable or not? And the other thing I would say, internal awareness and trainings. It's not enough that I know or you know. Also, the management has to know about sustainability and salespersons as well. EPD, sustainability, ESG. It's also very important that they know that well.
Very well focused, Eva. But I would summarize the conversation here. I'm glad that we had a chance to pack that many very practical, actually, recommendations and notices into this short conversation. So wish you good luck, Eva, in further reduction of the footprint going to your suppliers and transportation and whatever is in your plan. So yes, thank you for the time. Hope it was interesting for you to listen to others as well. So see you next time.
Yeah, of course.
And in order to now conclude, I will share back my own screen to summarize. And I hope my slides are on the screen now. Back again. So couple of slides to conclude today's short webinar. So I think this repeats pretty much what our guest speakers told and what Davi shared in the beginning. So start with asking some questions for you in order to decide how to go further. So try to understand what your clients actually need. Do they need some very generic information about your climate impact, or do they need the existence of particular EPD, as Eva told? So is it just an LCA or some climate impact data or already verified and published EPD, or do they need some very specific numbers from this EPD? So try to understand that. Look at the market and maybe this export market national regulations, what is or what becomes mandatory. So make this clear for you, because your suppliers are driven by that as well. And based on these two questions, you can decide how the current, let's say, lack of environmental information or absence of EPDs or LCAs might start affecting your business relations, your competitiveness. So do your decisions based on that, and think already what are these minimal actions what you can start doing already now. So study furthermore your client needs and market requirements. Benchmark, look at what your competitors are currently doing. Do they have such documents and an analysis done? Review your own company product portfolio. What are the product groups what would need such data and calculations at first? Start applying some basic tools to understand where you currently are. So start now, as Signe also told in the beginning, and I think this should help you to answer the question. So do you need EPDs, or is LCA enough today? And do you need some single calculations, or you actually would need some models or tools for independent use. So where you can insert constantly on a daily basis the data of your materials, and the tool provides you back with let's say the results for the LCA. And to conclude, where Sustinere can assist you with our end-to-end service in the LCAs and EPDs is, yes, we can help you to understand the same questions. What do you need now? We can, of course, create LCAs and similar models. So not only single LCA calculations, but create kind of tools where you can play around, insert the data, and then see if you have, let's say, variable products, what you could use regularly and independently. Of course, we can help with creating EPDs, which means that besides the analysis and calculations, we help with coordinating the verification process and publication process of the EPDs. And once you have the EPDs done or the LCA analysis done, then interpret the results, compare you with the competitors. And then often we see that sales teams need this knowledge in order to be better, in order to use EPD results as a sales argument. So we can support with that. And of course, as our speakers also told, it's also about reduction. To market ask for reduction as well. So we can help you to develop action plans, analyze different alternative choices, how much they would impact the bottom line numbers or not. So this is where we could help you. So if this is in your interest, get in touch with us. Otherwise, I hope that this 1 hour and a minute was useful, was relevant for you, that you got some new thoughts, some ways where to start working towards to. So thank you for joining. Glad was having you here, and hope to hear more about you. Until next time, bye.